Hello everyone, my name is Jake. Welcome back to Federal Focus. I believe it is week 13 of this. So hopefully nothing goes wrong to this because obviously 13 is not a lucky number. Again, I'm still kind of sick, so my voice may not sound very well. We have a lot to cover. First thing will be the Iran war, which is reportedly over, which is what Trump said when he issued a letter to leaders of the Congress saying that the 1973 War Powers Resolution does not apply because the war is technically not going on anymore. So, who knows if that continues, but apparently the war is mostly over, but there's not really a resolution to it, so there's probably still going to be a lot more news to cover. Trump said that, as you can hear, they'll send ships to help free up ships in the Strait of Hormuz beginning next morning, which will be in like 5 hours. I don't know if that will happen, but we'll have to see. For now, though, the war is over. Let's look at how oil is doing. Oil is down a little bit, but gas prices so far have been skyrocketing. I expected, though, if oil goes down here, they may start stabilizing, which I hope because they're at like $4.40. But we're not going to be going over this now. There's reasons why. It's because of the Voting Rights Act thing. But the shutdown, which I don't know if you guys knew, has been going on for the past 76 days. It's been a partial shutdown of DSA. It is finally over. It has been going on since February 14th. What has even? Do you know how much stuff happens in 2 months nowadays? Okay, it may have not been like this before I was born, but it feels like a world happens in 2 months. Okay, it's ridiculous. Um, I mean, it's insane. But it's finally ended. There was some crazy stuff happening in the House and Senate, but TSA, I guess, is finally going to be funded, which means maybe it will take less time for a flight to happen. But more problems with the flights is that Spirit Airlines doesn't exist anymore. Spirit Airlines. So wait, was it Spirit Airlines? Wait a second. Yeah, Spirit Airlines canceled its operations. Now, I don't know if they're going to be going bankrupt or whatever, but they don't really exist anymore. They were a very low cost airlines, and they just don't exist really anymore. So you won't have any flights from Spirit Airlines. There was a reported bailout, which may have happened, but it didn't happen. So there's no bailout anymore, which means flights will probably cost more because of this and because of the jet fuel. Um, but it was just funny. This is obviously not good, but it was funny seeing Elizabeth Warren, who was a senator, trying to blame Trump for this one. Which you can blame Trump for a lot of things. You can't really blame him for this one. I mean, maybe you can for the Iran war, but she played a part in it because she kind of was the main person who went against. Ooh, did she delete this tweet? That went against the proposed Spirit Airlines JetBlue merger. Um, as you can see, this post didn't do so well. So she really has no right to talk in this situation. But there's now one less airline in Spirit Airlines, which I mean, you don't want them to do bad, but I heard that they were very low quality. I mean, obviously they were low cost, but still, you hope to have a standard when you go on a flight, and you hope that standard is met. And I'm just kind of bouncing all over the place because there hasn't been a cohesive narrative here. There's just been a lot of random stuff happening this week, which is kind of how it always is. But in the Senate election for Maine, which will be now because in the Democrat side it was going to be the Graham, which I forgot how to pronounce his name. Hold on a second. Graham Plattner versus Janet Mills. However, Janet Mills withdrew. She was the incumbent governor or previous governor. She ran for the Senate against Plattner. Plattner's the left-wing candidate. He has a lot of different scandals. He has a Nazi tattoo on his chest. I hope I don't get demonetized. I hope my account doesn't get taken down for saying that. He has said a lot of crazy stuff. The guy is not trustworthy. I mean, politicians aren't trustworthy, but this guy's even less trustworthy. But he's going to be the Democratic candidate because Janet Mills, who I don't even think she wanted to run. She probably got pressured into it because no one else was running, but she dropped out. So it's gonna be Plattner, who is currently polling better against the incumbent Republican, yes, Republican from Maine, Susan Collins. But I just don't believe it. I think the ad work is gonna go crazy for Susan Collins. By the way, this is important to note for Maine. Susan Collins is a moderate, which is why she's able to continually get reelected. Okay, so in 2020 she got elected by 8 points, and as you can see here in the polls, she overperformed polls by 10 to 12 points. So as you can see here, she was losing by around I don't know 4 or 5 points on average on polls. Um, and we go to 2026. You can see the polling. She's losing by again like 5 or 6 points, which means if we add the polling error on that cycle to this cycle, she would win. So never always bet on Susan Collins. She, for some reason, will always find a way. She wins like 70% of the moderate vote. Who knows if she will this time? But for some reason, she is just finding a way to win every single election. She won 70% of the vote in 2014, which is just insane. And yeah, I think the ad works going to go crazy against Plattner. But I guess we'll just have to see. And now for a big one. This is probably the biggest news which happened this week. The Voting Rights Act. I'm pretty sure I talked about this. This was the case to try to limit or even get rid of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And there was finally a decision which happened, and in a 6-3 ruling, they ruled against the Louisiana map, which was basically a ruling against the Voting Rights Section 2 Act. Now, they didn't get rid of Section 2, but they significantly limited its powers, which means all right, so I'm back. I was going through this to find the picture. This is what it most likely means. The Voting Rights Act. This basically got rid of the racial gerrymandering, which was happening in the South, where basically they had to give at least a couple seats to black majority districts to give them representation. However, this is literally racism. Like, I'm not trying to be biased here, but it was racism. So I'm actually happy this ruling happened. 6-3. I'm surprised it was 6-3. I didn't even know if they would overrule it. Nevertheless, they had 6 votes. This was completely among ideological lines of this here, and I wasn't expecting that. I would think at least one of the Trump nominees would have voted not for the majority ruling. But as you can see here, this will gain, if Republican governors go through with it, it would gain them like 12 seats. Most of them just among because there wouldn't be the black majority districts anymore. Florida also redistricted, by the way, recently. But there's already been many governors. Alabama has a session now going. Tennessee does. I believe Louisiana does, and South Carolina does. There's already been like 5 governors which have said something. There's not much time though for them to redistrict. That's the problem for them. Like, if you want to do, I'm pretty sure one of the states, I believe it was South Carolina, they've canceled the primaries to redistrict, which is hardcore. They were not messing around in that area of department. But this is going to likely add to the gerrymandering. But there's already gerrymandering before, so it's just gerrymandering a different way. It hasn't really affected the House odds here, but it's kind of stalled the momentum for Democrats here. So, yeah, that was the biggest news really this week by far. Now, if they rule on this this was really one of the 2 controversial ones which happened. This one and the birthright citizenship. I want the birthright citizenship to happen now because that one's very important for the future of the nation. Now, thank you everyone for watching. I feel like I was very biased this week for my political views, but thank you guys for watching episode 13, I believe. If it's not, it will be very embarrassing. Hopefully, that's not bad news.